Ever feel like you're living the same day over and over? If mom life feels like an exhausting whirlwind of laundry, dinner, driving, and frustration on repeat, you're not alone. For every other thing we do in life, there's training. But for the most important job, we're just figuring it out as we go. Mom University is here to change that. It will give you the skills and education to break free of old patterns and be a leader in your home. Thanks for enrolling in Mom U. Class is about to start. Hello and welcome to Mom University. I'm your host, Chanel Nielsen. I am excited to welcome you into this brand new podcast for 2024 and beyond. So Mom University is an idea that came to me a while back as I was thinking about my business and the challenges that moms are really facing. It came to me that we need some kind of school. We need some kind of training to really help us be our best as moms. Like I said in the intro, we get training for every other job we do, right? When you get a new job, you get trained on how to do it. But when you become a mom, you just know what you already know from your own family. And maybe you read a few books or try to learn a few things on social media, but most of us are winging it. And the truth is, we need some help. And so Mom University is here to bring you the best learning, the best experts, the best knowledge, the best training on the things that we face day to day as moms. So this includes the parenting part of actually being there for our kids and creating strong relationships and helping to develop amazing little people who grow into big people who do their best impact in the world. It also includes running a home. As moms, I actually love, I know this word is kind of antiquated, but I love the word homemaker. It's just so powerful to me. Most of us don't consider ourselves as homemakers anymore, but you know when you have to fill out a form at the doctor's office or wherever and it asks you for your occupation? I have a lot of different things that I could put on there and I kind of pick and choose, but my favorite one to write down is homemaker. Because how powerful is that? I'm the one who makes the home. I actually get a little emotional saying that right now because as moms, we have that ability to create this atmosphere, this culture, this environment for our families. We are in this powerful role to make the home what we want it to be. And there are so many elements that go into running a home. There's a lot of, I don't want to say drudgery, but that's the word that comes to mind. There's a lot of chores, right? There's a lot of little things that have to happen every day to make that run smoothly. But ultimately, we want something bigger than that. Ultimately, being a homemaker doesn't mean just doing the dishes. It means creating an atmosphere where the people in that home can thrive. And so Mom University is about that big picture, who we want to be as moms. Additionally, it's important as moms to not lose sight of who we are as people. And that's kind of the third leg of this journey. So we've got parenting, we've got running a home, and then we've got personal development. Who do we want to be as people? Because even though we are the leaders of a home and we are running a home, we also have individual goals and desires and things that in mom life way too often get put on the shelf and forgotten about. And so blending that in, making that a part of our mom journey without dropping the ball on the other things is a really important piece of the puzzle. And so that's what Mom University is all about. It's the blend of those three things and creating the kind of home, family, personal life that you want to have and that really brings you joy. So why do we need Mom University? As I've brought this idea forward to people, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback and I've gotten a couple of questions. And some of those questions are, Moms have been doing this for a really long time. Why do we need any kind of training? And I have a few thoughts on that, and that's what the podcast is about today, as well as kind of letting you know what to expect in the upcoming weeks and months. So 3 reasons why we need Mom University. Number 1 is the world is changing. I looked up some really interesting statistics because the truth is we're dealing with different situations than our moms dealt with. So economically, it's really interesting. Most of us nowadays, most moms with kids at home, so under 18, 71.1% work in some capacity or another and bring in an income. A lot of that is not just because that's a nice to do, it's because it's a necessity to do, right? It's because things have gotten really expensive. We need more income coming into the home just to take care of the bills and things that need to happen. There are obviously still 30% that don't work and are able to not work in any capacity, but 70%, that means the majority of us are doing some kind of work nowadays. Now, if we look back in the 80s, so I grew up in the 80s, some of you may be a little bit younger, and I'll share some statistics about that too. But in the 80s, kids under 18, so families that had kids under 18, only 53% of those moms were working. So we have increased quite a bit. It was about half, and now it's about 3/4 of moms who are working. There's one other statistic I wanted to share, and this is moms with kids under age 6. So really young moms of young kids who are not yet in school. In the 70s, only 30% of those moms were working, and in the 90s, 58.4%. So we're going to round to almost 60%. So it had doubled by the 1990s. So it's really interesting. We see that women, moms, are taking on more and more. And what this means for us is that it's unprecedented, that many of our moms, maybe some of our moms worked, but some of our moms did not work. And if our moms did work, if you look a generation back from this, even more moms did not work. And so we are trying to figure out what this looks like. Because of technology, a lot of our work looks different. So maybe you're working from home or sometimes from home. Some people work outside of the home, obviously. But if you're at home, you're trying to juggle what you can do working while you've got your kids and the things that they need and interruptions and all these things going on. And so it's really different, right? It's different than what other people have experienced. And so we are pioneering what this looks like to work from home and to have kids at home at the same time. The other way that the world is changing is technology. We are dealing as parents with generations that have grown up with technology as part of their lives, almost their whole lives. And so we're trying to figure out, what does that look like? How do we do technology in a healthy way for our family that works, that doesn't have our kids on screens all the time, and what that really looks like. And there are a lot of questions and issues and concerns, both with our own technology use and with our children's technology use. Number 2 is we nowadays are both more isolated and more connected. And what I mean by that is, back in the day, even in my early motherhood, so my oldest daughter is 20 and my youngest son is 7. And I can see a huge difference in what it was like for me when I was raising my daughter versus my son. I don't think I had a cell phone when my daughter was born. I'm kind of a late adopter when it comes to technology. But if I did have a cell phone, I know I wasn't texting on it yet. I didn't get one that you could text on for a while. But in fact, I'll tell you a story. I remember when my daughter was in kindergarten or first grade, and I was dropping her off at a friend's house, and she saw my cell phone and she was like, "That's your cell phone?" I thought that was a house phone because it was kind of big and clunky and you couldn't text on it. nevertheless, that was my phone. So anyways, things have changed a lot with technology. And so where it used to be, when my daughter was young, we did a lot more in person. If we wanted to talk, we got on the phone, or we set up, places to meet and things to go and do and park days. And now I notice with friendships, a lot of that takes place over text. That's more convenient. I love texting. I'm not opposed to it. But what it means is that we end up alone with our phones a lot, and we end up being a lot more isolated. Now, we're more connected in some ways to more people. We're always texting and seeing what's going on, and we have so much information both about our friends' lives, also through social media, through all of the information that's just coming at us all the time, but we're lonelier. We're alone a lot of the time. And so we lack that personal connection. In addition, we have all this information, but sometimes we actually have an overload of information that we aren't quite sure how to implement. We hear so many good ideas, and then we put very little of them into practice. Sometimes, have you ever felt this way, that you feel like you know something? You've heard it so many times. Let's take eating healthy for an example. You have heard over and over that you need to eat more protein and have more vegetables. And when you hear it, it almost falls on deaf ears. You're like, yeah, I've heard that before. I know, obviously. Tell me the next new tip. But are you actually eating more protein and having more vegetables at every meal? If you're not, then you actually need that information delivered in a way that can help you implement, because that information, it's not going to be new, but until we implement it, we make it a part of our lives, it's actually not going to help us. And so we have more coming at us than ever, more connection, right? I don't know if connection is exactly the right word, but more opportunity to interact with people online, but less true deep connection. And we have more information, but less implementation. And so that is another reason why we need Mom University, because Mom University is not just about sharing more information. It's about putting it into practice. That is such a huge, important part of it. If you think about when you go to school, the purpose of going to school, and maybe we didn't all do it right, but the purpose is to learn and put into practice things that we've learned, right? It's to get this actual training. If you think about why you go to college, you choose a major so that you can go on and do something in the real world. And that's the idea with Mom University. It's not just to read a book, assimilate some knowledge, and then go on the same as you were before. It's to actually create change. So the third reason we need Mom University is because we need more intention in our lives. We need more intentionality instead of just continuing to do things the way that we've done them. When I talk to moms, I hear over and over that mom life feels like Groundhog's Day, that we're just doing the same things over and over, and we want to do something different, but we feel stuck in this never-ending laundry, dishes, chores, crying kids, cleaning up, doing the same thing over and over and over, but we aren't quite sure how to break out of these patterns. And Mom University, the purpose of it is to help you be more intentional and to be a leader in your home and in your family. And there are some specific things that Mom University will help you to do. The most important one is to break the patterns that you're living in. If you think about the idea we talked about earlier about training, on-the-job training, the training that we got as moms was for most of us in our own homes and families. And so we saw the way that our moms did it. And for most of us, there were probably some things we liked that our moms did and some things that we didn't like. But for most of us, we end up emulating even the things that we didn't like. Unconsciously, they just come out. Do you ever hear your mom's voice coming out of your mouth? Or maybe your mom was a yeller and you've determined, I don't want to be a yeller. But when certain things happen, when your kid loses his shoe again, or when he spills the cereal all over the floor, or something just really that's really irritating to you happens, you find yourself going right back into the pattern that you learned as a child and yelling at your kid. That's pretty natural unless we step out of those patterns and create a more intentional cycle that helps us to be the parents we want to be. So one of the patterns that we can change as we become a leader in our home is to shift the tone in our home and family, and to be able to manage tough situations so that we can lead with love instead of lead from old patterns that we subconsciously learned as children. We can also learn at Mom University to create a home that's peaceful and comfortable. For me, this is a clean enough home. If you've been around a while, you've heard me talk about that. I like my house to be clean enough. I like it to be clean enough that people can come over, clean enough that things are comfortable, that I'm not stepping in sticky spots, that there's a place to eat my lunch in peace and not have to clear the table of all the dirty dishes before I do that. But on the flip side, an immaculate home doesn't allow the atmosphere and the environment that I want to have in my family, because what I have found for me is an immaculate home means an extra level of stress. It means I'm on my kids all the time, bugging them to pick up their messes and do this right away instead of letting them live in the home. And so finding that for you, what is your clean enough home? What is your happy and comfortable, peaceful home environment? That's a pattern that you can step back and intentionally create. Another pattern that we'll work on creating is creating healthy boundaries. As women, it's very easy to want to be givers, to do things for our family and for others outside of our families. And sometimes we become yes women, right? We say yes to things that maybe are not serving us or allowing us to serve in the best way. And so using our yeses carefully and judiciously and saying no to the things that don't serve our broader vision. To that point, we have to have a broader vision. Becoming a CEO and a leader in your family means that you have a vision. You know where you're taking your family. You know the atmosphere. You're very intentional and clear on what you want this home and family to be. Another pattern that we can break is going from stressed out to being fun. This one is one I'm not super stressed out, but I can't say I'm super fun either. This is one that I want to work on. Sometimes when we're so stressed, it's really hard to be fun because we are just so in the weeds of all the things that need to be done, and it's hard to let go of that in order to have fun. When we have systems and routines to get that done, that allows space for fun. And the trap and pattern that I often fall into is I get those things done, but then I want to go do more work instead of having some fun. And that's a pattern that I'm going to be working on breaking and having more fun in my own family. The last pattern that we're going to be talking about is going from feeling busy all day, but having nothing to show for it, to feeling accomplished because you did what mattered. This is really powerful because when we get intentional on what we want and what matters to us, then we get those things done and we focus on those. It's so easy to let go of the things that really didn't matter anyway, the things that are keeping us busy, keeping us feeling stuck, but not contributing to a more joyful and happy life. So those are the areas that we will continue to talk about through Mom University where we need more intention. Now, Mom University is this podcast. We are also going to be showing up more on Instagram and social media. And excitingly, we have an in-person event and online courses to help you to get the training you need to become the mom you want to be. So our very first in-person event will be in April in San Diego. You can get all the details at universityformoms.com. There are amazing sign-up bonuses right now, so I encourage you to go and check that out before it fills up and to get as many of those bonuses and the best possible deal on that. It's going to be an amazing event. As I thought about Mom University, it was really important to me to have this in-person event to kick it off because I want that connection for you that we talked about earlier. My goal for Mom University is that you will find some of your very best friends through this community. And then not only will you meet and get to share and have this connection at the actual event, we're going to continue that on with online courses as well as online villages. The village part is something that I think is going to make a huge difference in your mom life. And these are small groups where you get together to discuss what you're learning, to really have a place where you can share the things that are going on in your mom life in a vulnerable and real way that maybe is a little different than other play dates where you've been to, where people know your family and you have to be careful about what you say and things like that. This is a group of women who have your back, who are going through some of the same things that you're going through and who are there to support you. So that is what Mom University is all about. Now, with this podcast, we are going to have some amazing experts. If you go to University for Moms, you can see some of our speakers. They will be joining us over the course of the next several months to talk about their areas of expertise and to share some of what they do. You'll also be able to hear from them at Mom University. But as they come on and share this, you're going to learn so much. And my goal for you is that you'll be able to implement and put into practice the things that you have learned. Now, Mom University, with my previous podcast, with all the podcasts that I've done, I have had a very strict schedule of once a week coming out with a brand new podcast episode. Mom University will be a little more loose. We might not have an episode every single week, so you'll want to make sure and subscribe so that when there's a new episode, you get all of the updates for that. If you have any questions, please reach out. I love to hear from you. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Mom University, and I'm so glad that you are here with us. Thanks for listening. If you're a mom whose days feel like Groundhog's Day and you find yourself wondering what you're doing it all for, join us at our in-person Mom University event. You'll get the support, tools, and help to become the mom you want to be. For details, go to universityformoms.com.